Hi guys, how are you doing? This is Lee at Fresh Astrology. Um, I have been an astrologer for, I don't know, about a decade, a little over a decade, and I've really moved into coaching, life coaching over the past 5 years. And the reason I did this is because when I worked with astrology clients, often over years, following their journeys, I felt as though astrology is useful as it can be in some cases and is validating. It's mostly very validating about the universe, the fact that there's some order to the universe. It's not totally chaotic. It validates who you are as a person, as a soul, as an individual. That can be highly affirming, especially during troubled times. However, there aren't there while there are lessons from the mythological and symbology or symbological aspects of the planets and the stars, sort of the symbolic meaning, and it's like the humans build symbols to help understand things. And that's what astrology helps to do. It helps us understand and kind of find a framework moving forward. What's missing, though, is what coaching provides. Coaching provides, and we are going to talk about today the full moon, but I just want to kind of introduce who I am at the moment, what I do, how I look at things. What's missing in astrology are mostly kind of the astrologers themselves are in hard places in life. They have their own lens through which they look. They can, not all, there's some really, really fantastic world-class astrologers out there who are also psychologists, psychiatrists, social workers. Hey, Claudia, how are you? So there are a lot of people out there who know how to work with people, understand how to listen to a client. And at the same time, there are a lot of people who may be like really good at analyzing the planets and the way they relate to each other. They may know a lot about the history of astrology. They're not necessarily helpful in terms of helping you psychologically move your life forward. And the way information can be delivered can be toxic. In fact, that's why I taught myself astrology, so I didn't have to listen to toxic people. And I'm not saying all astrologers are toxic. I'm saying there are a vast number of self-taught or maybe even professionally schooled astrologers who have no people skills. They don't understand how to listen. They have their own gripes with the world, their own axes to grind. And what coaching provides is a supportive environment to help you find your own way and find your way back to yourself and your own strengths. Astrology can do that. It can, but most people don't use it that way. Most people use it very differently, or they don't understand how to come back to themselves or home to themselves through astrology. They think they're doing that, but if they're coming to me year after year with the same issues, they're not really doing that. So coaching is the next step, in my opinion, which is why I wanted to coach myself. I wanted to be taught by world-class coaches, and why I want to move, my astrology clients over to more of a coaching model, because that's how you take it forward. Coaching works and changes lives more than astrology does. I can just tell you that. So anyway, that's the viewpoint I have around astrology. And if you're here because you just want me to tell you what's going to happen on a Tuesday, what's going to happen to you, and how you're the victim of circumstance, I'm not going to tell you that. But let's take a look at the full moon. So this is the forecast I do for my lounge members, and I'll put my lounge address below if you want more of a coaching viewpoint on astrology. That's where I'm now putting up my monthlies and my annual forecasts. But sometimes I like to share because I miss all of you. Hey, Claudia. I do sometimes. Sometimes astrology clients or coaching clients, sorry, will ask me to look at their chart. So we'll arrange just a session just to do a chart, or sometimes we'll just take a quick look. But we don't make the focus. Like if somebody just wants to talk about how Uranus is impacting their lives for a whole hour, I'm not on board with that. So I've known Claudia for a long time. She's been around for a while, and but so I'm gently answering your question. Yes, I do, but I want to draw a firm boundary for people that if you do hire me as a coach, we're not going to talk about how you're the victim of everything. I want you to be empowered and stand in your own strength. I want you to be able to change your life and have the tools to do that. Astrology, though, Claudia, is very useful. And so if somebody who's been, a coaching client is like, can we just look at my chart? I'm like, sure, absolutely. Let's go look at your chart. Sometimes I even want, if they're talking about something, I'm like, let's go look at your chart. I just need to see it. So sometimes, yeah, it's very useful. It's a great tool. Yeah, thanks for asking the question, Claudia. So this full moon was beautiful. First of all, I don't know if you saw it, but it was gorgeous. You could even see Jupiter. It was really bright in the sky. I don't know how many people saw that. It was amazing. So what I've been telling people inside the membership lounge for the August forecast was this. We looked a lot at the moons because what happens in August is if you think the days around this full moon have been tense and challenging, maybe just because your schedule's busy, maybe because you're being pulled in different directions, maybe you're tired of being at home. Well, I'm so glad I look cool. Is it the glasses? Yeah. I have to do things like buy glasses to look cool, seriously. But thank you. So the month of August, it's like it kind of moves up and to the right, like a nice stock chart, like a nice bull market. Because by the time we get to the new moon, which is, I believe, on the 18th, everything's just flowing much more smoothly. So, as I say all the time, it doesn't mean every day is perfect, every moment of every day is perfect, but it does mean that the energy in August is really nice after we move past this full moon. It's not that the full moon was even bad. A lot of good can happen around a full moon. It's a great time to draw clear boundaries. Sometimes they're just psychological internal boundaries. Sometimes they're just you're determining to move forward in a certain way. It's not always all about endings. If it is about an ending, you could just put to rest an old habit or an old way of thinking. In fact, the more you do that, here's where the cool coaching part comes in. I'm not cool, but coaching is. The cool coaching part is you can teach yourself to identify patterns you need to stop, thoughts you need to stop. And the more you do that, what I've seen happen is the astrology impacts people in a very different way. The energy of the planets, the energy of what's happening to them, even if they're under a tremendous number of squares and oppositions, really hard aspects, it can actually, people can flourish. They can be getting, married to their soulmate. They can be suddenly hitting it big in their industry, suddenly making $1 million for the first time. People can do amazing things with the astrology if they're working it right internally. And that's the power of looking at it more like that. Like you've got this internal genius and tremendous power inside of you. And if you work that with the astrology, it's amazing. But I've got to sign off now because I've got a hard stop at 10 o'clock. But I wanted to let you know that if this felt tense for any reason, I was tense last night because my kids are somewhere. All three of them are somewhere that got hit with a hurricane last night and on the ground tornadoes. And I was trying to text them and nobody was getting back to me and I was getting frantic. So it was a tense full moon. Everything's okay. They're okay. But I was freaking out. So, and then the month just gets much better energetically. It's up to you, like what you do with the energy, but the month improves. It's actually one of the nicest times in the year. There's some nice times coming up, but August, I'd say especially those last 2 weeks, really nice. All right. Bye, guys.